Well, TV fans, he has put the queens of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12 through their paces with some very amazing, very challenging choreography. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I'm thrilled to talk with Jamal Sims, choreographer for RuPaul's Drag Race. Thanks for sitting down with me, Jamal.
Of course. Thanks for having me. What's up, everybody?
You know, I'm curious, when you're specifically crafting a number, a dance number for a competition on Drag Race, how do you decide on like the level of difficulty to put into it? Are you saying, I'm going to really challenge these people, or are you trying to make it malleable for what they bring?
No, so what I do is I start at the highest like standard of what I would just challenge anybody. You know what I mean? Like, and then I start to see what they could possibly do, and if it but you know, I still want it to feel like a challenge, you know, and I don't want to just do step touch. So, but once I start to feel like everybody's level, because everybody's level is different, then I start to play to the strengths. So, so that's what I do. I start at the highest, and then once I get to dance them, then I'll say, okay, well, let me play to your strengths and see if you could exist in that, you know, what you do in that world. Yeah.
So does that mean, like, do you ever change things kind of day of, like once you see them? Like, cause you know, you had Jansport, who's a musical theater queen, and you have Jackie, who you're trying to get some sexy out of. So how do you work like day of with those changes?
Yeah, I call it a remix on the spot, and that's what I do. I just, you know, as a choreographer, we always have to be prepared to remix. Even if I'm working with, you know, actors that have never danced before, I just have to be prepared that, you know, their bodies aren't used to moving the way, you know, we would as dancers. So I always just try to make sure that it should feel to them by the time they get on stage. My goal is that it feels like walking. It doesn't, they're not in their head, because there's so much other things to think about. You know, they have hair, makeup, wigs. I mean, you know, all that stuff that they're dealing with. So I don't want the choreography to be the thing that they're worried about. But at the same time, I do want to push them because it is a competition. So there's like that fine little balance that I'll remix it to a point, but then at one point I have to be like, you got to come with it. You know what I mean? Like, get your life and figure it out. Yeah.
This season, you've done a couple seasons of the show. This time you worked on 2 episodes for choreography. And the first one was the Madonna, the unauthorized rusical, which was a whole lot of fun because it spans her entire career through different eras. And you, I believe, have worked with Madonna. So what was your preparation like in terms of crafting that?
Well, the thing is that first I had to figure out, you know, they sent me the track, and this is like a long, it's not like 2 minutes, it's like 10 minutes or 12 minutes. It's one of the longest performances that I've ever had to do on Drag Race. And as you know, time is limited on the show. So the first thing I did was try to break down which era, which song was supposed to be, right? And David did such an amazing, and Tom did such an amazing thing with the music that now I was like, oh, the music's good. I have to step it up even more now. But the idea is that I just had to figure out which Madonna was, what time period the first one was, or the second one, to the third. And once I got that, then all of a sudden I just started to go into like, what do I remember the iconic moves being? Without watching any video, because look, I'm a Madonna fan, and before I even got to work with her, you know, I remember Borderline. I remember all those videos. So I just wanted to make sure that I incorporated what I felt were the iconic moments in that era, whichever Madonna era it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you ever kind of disagree with Ru's picks or judges' critiques after you're seeing the final thing? Like, I know, like Jan in that episode obviously had a reaction to her not winning the challenge, and there's a huge fan reaction to why the hell didn't you win? So do you ever sit there and go, I would have picked something else, or I would have done another different thing?
No, because, you know, the thing is that also there's something about watching it on TV, and there's something about being there live, right? Mm-hmm. And there's something that the television will that the camera will capture that might not have translated to the judges at the time live. So there is two different things. So I know that when we were sitting there, I was pretty much understanding why, and what they were saying, if that makes sense, because it's not. It translates differently on TV. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, and it's not your first time working on reality television either. You've done some dance work on So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, between those two things, they're so vastly different shows, and one's working with professional dancers. How do those two projects compare to you? How is the challenge of RuPaul different than that?
They're so different, but exactly the same, because you're dealing with contestants that want to win. And, I want them to win. I want all of them to win. And that's just me, just as a person. Like, I'm not trying to set you up for failure. So the thing about the So You Think You Can Dance was challenging is that, you think that you're dealing with professional dancers. So I'm thinking in my head, well, they got here, they must be able to do it. So I go balls to the wall, I go hard. And then when I get there, I'm like, oh, but they're not really professional dancers. I can't incorporate a lot of props in these. So you start to realize that, you might have to scale things back. And the same thing with Drag Race. Like, I'm thinking that these queens are up there, they're performing every night, but what you don't realize is that, performing every night is different than when you have choreography to do, and when you have props that you have to. So I always have to remember that, yes, they're there and they're the best, they're the cream of the crop at the moment, but they're still not at the ultimate professional level, where they can handle a lot. So, but like I said, I do it, I'll scale it back if I need to. And sometimes I don't have to, sometimes I can push it forward. And, Gigi, was somebody that I was able to be like, okay. At first I was like, ooh. But then the second I was like, wait a minute, she's going in, and I could push her a little more.
Yeah, I think she surprises a lot of people with, especially that Madonna number. Great.
Yeah.
When you, as a choreographer, I'm always kind of curious where inspiration comes from when you sit down to create a piece. Like, does it come from the song? Does it come, like, do you get an image in your head? What is like the first initial thing you get?
It's all different. For me, it's always different. Sometimes it could start with a prop that I want to use in it. You know what I'm like? Oh, I want to use a wheelbarrow, and everything will come out of this wheelbarrow, and that's only if the music isn't good, because sometimes, if the track is not good, I'll have to use a costume, or I'll have to use a prop, but 9 times out of 10, if the music's good, all of a sudden I could see it very clearly. And now it's just a matter of putting what's in here into the body. But yeah, it usually starts with the track. But if the track's not great, it could be a whole bunch of other things that I'll resort to.
Yeah. And that Madonna number was kind of earlier in the season. Then you come back, the penultimate challenge for Viva Drag Vegas. Yeah. Was there any queen kind of between working on those for the Vegas act where you were really surprised by like an improved skill set, or surprised by what they brought to the table, but based on what you previously saw?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 of them. Crystal came with it like the second time. Like, the first time when we did the Madonna, she was in it, and I really catered to her strength. But for the finale, for the Las Vegas, yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna cater to her, I'm gonna push her. And she delivered not only in the choreography, but she delivered also in her performance, because there's a mirror song where it's not choreography and they have to perform, and I feel like she understood the challenge. And I think Jada, what people don't, Jada in the Madonna rusical she danced, but it wasn't like she had to dance for the Las Vegas challenge. Like, so I pushed her even harder than I think any of the rest, and she came up and she delivered with that. So so those were the 2.
Yeah. And that one had kind of extra weight on it too, because you're the choreographer of Drag Race Live in Vegas and co-director. So Does it feel like when you get to that part of the competition, then the actual choreographer of the show is coming in, do the queens feel really nervous to you? Do you have to work with a bundle of nerves?
Look, they should, because, well, yeah, I mean, look, that's the whole point of the show. Is like, this is the platform to put you onto the next level. So, the fact that the opportunities here to show the director and choreographer of the show, or co-director and choreographer of the show, what you have, I think that, yeah, that's the point. It's like, this is an opportunity to say, I'm ready to take the stage. And so, yeah, I would think that the nerves would be there, and they were. The nerves were there. And I think that when you use those nerves to like really, if you could take them and use them for good and not use them for like a sabotage moment, they'll usually pull through. And most of them did,
Mm-hmm. And most of the queens that you have in rotation at that Vegas show are really great performers, great dancers.
Yeah.
Like you have Evie Oddly there, and Derek Barry, who's doing Brittany, and
Angie and Cameron, and
they're great performers in that sense. So was the intention with what you brought to that challenge to say, like, here's the actual choreography, here's what would be expected of you if you were here, or was it ever kind of dumbed down?
Well, this is a little unknown fact about the challenge. Was I hadn't started the choreography for the show yet. Because we taped it a while before the show, before I started choreographing. So I'm choreographing actually on them to see what it's probably going to look like. This is my first time really hearing the music. So they got the sneak peek, if you will, of the show. So I didn't know really what the show was going to be at that point. I just knew that the music was going to be great, and that the performances had to be stellar, or else it wasn't going to work. So yeah, but a lot of the choreography I did end up keeping for the show.
Right. That's a cool little preview. And that number was crazy to me too, because it's really, the challenge was 3 numbers in one, essentially. And I've always been under the impression that this show moves very quickly with production schedules. So how long do you actually get with them? What is the rehearsal process like for something like that?
So the rehearsal process is, I get an hour with them on camera. So that's like the first time when I'm warming them up, or when I'm just kind of seeing what their basic movement is. So I'll get an hour with them on camera. Then when the cameras go off, I get an hour with them after. I don't see them again. They have to go home, and I don't see them again until the morning before we shoot. So that stuff, it's fast. It's really fast. So not only do they have a lot to deal with, but the time that they have that they're given is not a lot of time.
Yeah. What happens, like, because it is such a short amount of time, is it ever stressful when someone's like truly not getting something in the moment? What are your tactics to kind of lead them through that? Because it would seem that they would need extra attention to pull
well, unfortunately, I don't have the ability to give anyone extra attention, right? Because everybody will be, you get the side eye and all that stuff. So I don't want to be a part of that. So, but what I do is I always talk to them afterwards. And I always say, if there's anything that feels uncomfortable, if you could show me what you would do naturally, maybe I can incorporate it. So I do give them an opportunity to let me know if things don't feel good on the body. Some people have knee injuries, some people have ankle injuries that I'm not aware of in the beginning. So I think that it's important to talk to them, because I just don't want them to be out there failing because I didn't know that their knee doesn't work,
Right. And the really kind of wonderful thing about that episode is, it's the top 5, and you get to be there not only as choreographer, but as a guest judge afterwards, sitting on the panel. And what's your favorite thing about being there in that position and seeing your final product come together?
It's awful. I would almost not want. I almost not want to be on the panel after they do the choreography. because I'm rooting for them all. Like I don't like one piece of my choreography better than the other, you know. So it's not like, oh, I can't wait for this part. I genuinely like it all, and I want them to do well. So I am stressed out. Even like when you mentioned on So You Think You Dance, when the kids get up there, I am like cringing because I'm like, please come through, you know. So it's hard for me to be there, you know. And so I just try to get them emotional support, you know, from being behind the stage. I know what it feels like to be a performer. I know what that feels like to want to give your best performance and be in competition with other people. So it's a weird feeling for me.
Well, even though it was weird, you did a great job and you looked great.
Thank you.
Doing it up there. So we'll look forward to more seasons with you and your dances on Drag Race.
Absolutely.
So, everyone who's out there watching, please subscribe to Gold Derby. Make sure you keep in touch with us throughout any season. And Jamal, thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.